One of the more challenging concepts in bond valuation is the idea of forward interest rates. And the purpose of this clip is to try to explain in a number of different ways what a forward interest rate actually means. So let me go through a number of examples, and many of these examples are equivalent. And as I said, the goal is for you to gain an appreciation as to what a forward interest rate actually is. So the following is the first way to consider forward interest. Suppose that I've got two investment opportunities. The first opportunity, I lock my money in for 2 years and I'm guaranteed a rate of return of 15% each year. And this might be a 2-year certificate of deposit, for example. The second opportunity is an investment for only 1 year. And over that year, I am offered a rate of return of 12%. And what I'm going to do after that 1 year is to roll that investment over into another 1-year investment. Now the question is, what rate of investment do I need to get in the second year for this rollover strategy that will exactly equal the investment rate of return for the guaranteed 2 years at 15%? Okay, so let me just review the situation. One investment, we're locked for 2 years, 15% a year. The other investment, we take a series of 2 separate initiatives. First is a 1-year investment, and I know the rate is 12%. And then I'm going to roll over into another investment where I don't know the rate yet. But the question is, what is the rate that has to occur 1 year from now to make these 2 investment strategies have the same rate of return? Well, it's fairly easy to solve for this. All we need to do is to solve the following equation. On the left-hand side, we've got 1.15 raised to the power of 2. On the right-hand side, we've got 1.12 multiplied by x. And x is going to be this 1-year rate 1 year from now that exactly equates the returns on these 2 different strategies. Now when you actually do the math for this, you'll find that the number turns out to be 18.08%. So this means that if I have an investment rate of return for 2 years locked in at 15% a year, my total return is approximately 32%. That's 15 in each year, compounded. And this other possibility where I invest for 1 year at 12% and then the next year at 18.08%, this will also deliver a total return of about 32%. This rate that I solve for in the second year is called the forward interest rate. Now, what does the forward interest rate actually mean? Now, we've talked about the determinants of interest rates, the determinants of the term structure of interest rates. And clearly we are talking here about the term structure because we're looking at a rate of 2 years versus a rate of 1 year. And we're talking about the fundamental determinants of interest rates. One view of the forward interest rate is that it provides us with a forecast of what will occur in the future. For example, consider the situation. We're offered a 2-year certificate deposit that will earn 15% per year. And we're also offered the 1-year certificate deposit, which only pays 12% for the first year. Now, given that the 2-year rate is 15%, it makes sense that market participants anticipate that the 1 year rate 1 year from now is going to be greater than 15%. And if it turns out to be 18%, then these two investment strategies will be exactly equated. So to solve for the forward rate is quite a simple exercise. And perhaps it does contain information about what participants think the future interest rate will be. However, as we know from our exploration of the determinants of interest rates and the determinants of the term structure of interest rates, we know that this is a more complex story that underlies the determinants of the interest rates. Now let me tell you another story, another way to get some intuition about forward interest rates. And this intuition will be developed with an example like we did before. And this intuition will also demonstrate that the forward rate isn't this magical plug number that I got from solving for x in that equation I talked about before. This will demonstrate that the forward rate is actually a very meaningful rate for investment purposes. Let me paint the following scenario. I expect to get 1 year from now $1 million. Currently I don't really have any available cash. I look at the interest rates today and would like to lock in an investment today that would be initiated 1 year from now. This is what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sell short the 1 year zero coupon bond that's available today. And I'm going to use the proceeds of doing that to purchase the 2 year bond today. Okay. Now let's figure out exactly how to do this. The first thing that we need is to determine what the prices of these bonds are. Now I've given you interest rates, so the 2 year zero coupon bond has an interest rate of 15%. And we can calculate the price, and you can check the numbers here, but for a $100 bond the price should be 75.614. Okay, so we buy for 75.614. 2 years from now it's worth 100. The 1 year bond has got an interest rate of 12%, and the price of that bond should be 89.285. And again, it's a simple calculation for the price of the zero coupon bond. You take 100, divide by 1.12, and you should get 89.285. Now, what are we going to do? What I'm going to do today is to buy these bonds. I'm going to buy the 2 year bond, and I'm going to sell the 1 year bond. What I'm going to do is to sell 10,000 1 year bonds. So each bond's got a $100 face value. Okay, when I do that, I'm going to sell 10,000 of these bonds and collect the proceeds of 89.285 each. Okay? I'm going to take that money and I'm going to invest it and buy as many of the 2 year bonds as possible. And we know the price of the 2 year bond is 75.614.